Good morning, everyone. Brent Wessler with VRC. We will be starting the presentation now. Today's session is going to be DocStar 101. Wanted to give just a couple of updates in terms of our relationship with Epicor. Many of you might have gotten a contact from VRC in the form of a migration. I just want to let everybody know Epicor and VRC have signed a 3-year agreement. We are a preferred partner. No issues in supporting and servicing your accounts moving forward. I will share, we'll email everybody after this because it doesn't seem to be a way to add documents to your to this Teams meeting. So we'll be providing basically a front back flyer sheet that you can refer to that includes all the things that are included in your contract, who you contact for support, any billing issues that you have, and our current relationship with Epicor. So please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions on that. Today we're going to be really focusing on like basic product education. There's a number of really neat new features, AI enabled, that are now part of a DocStar workflow. So this is the most material change I think I've seen in DocStar since it came out. So if everybody's familiar, we did transition the piftech.com. I used to go to ecmcloud.piftech.com. That is obviously no longer a viable company. So you'll see you're either one of two sites, ecmcloud.vitalrecordscontrol.com or vitalecm.com. So today is just going to be a high-level product tour. The idea is that most of you only use 5 to 10% of the capabilities of DocStar. We do offer free unlimited end user and admin training. We want you to be proponents of the product, so the more you know, the better. The two major feature releases in 25.2, which is the current version, is the AI features. So it's data generate. Now, not a big fan of their naming conventions, but data generate is essentially a workflow prompt that you can have do specific tasks. So this could be summarization, it could be comparing documents, seeing whether a document's signed or not. So you can see there on the kind of grid there on the left side is what that allows for. So this uses, basically its own engine. So basically, Epicor manages that for you. You don't have to go out and buy your own AI engine or anything like that. The other nice feature is called Focus Data Capture. So this is essentially IDP built into the core product, and it uses a neural templating. So this doesn't use LLM specifically, but a neural templating tool from Microsoft Azure Document Intelligence. So there's a bunch of pre-built capabilities for things like invoices and tax documents to extract the data. And then to verify the data, there's this workflow feature called User Verify Focus Data Capture. Again, like a mouthful there. So this is ideal for IDP. Now, this doesn't replace Ancora. There's no auto learning. There's some limitations in terms of the number of documents you can process through this, but this is quickly becoming that. And the benefit is everything's right in DocStar. You don't have to go to a separate URL or a product. So very, very keen that they've added that. You'll also notice on the Capture tab, there's a new drag and drop icon. So you no longer have to set up individual batch imports. This is a great, nice little utility. So the two new AI features, again, the data generate, it's a terrible screenshot, I apologize, but in this particular case, it's, looking at a particular document and then you give it a prompt. And so each prompt, for instance, and we'll go through kind of a light tutorial on how this is set up, but if you ask it, extract the customer name and then period, summarize document. Those are essentially two different variables. So you'll see when we configure how that actually gets set. There is new licensing for these modules. I do not have pricing just yet, but they are available in 25.2 and above. And you don't need to go get your own AI account. Everything works out of the box. It's actually pretty incredible how quickly and easily it works. It's all page based. So you buy the module and a number of pages. So we'll go through some of that capability. Now, DocStar IDC, which is Ancora, which is, again, a neural templating, auto learning tool that is still a very viable solution. Ancora or Epicor IDC has been added LLMs. So I believe at the end of this quarter, which should be any day now, they're releasing Ancora Fusion, which if you are an Ancora or IDC customer, you will get that free of charge. All right, so here are all the different modules that are included. You'll see on the screenshot here, this is what we call package works. If you're doing HR, if you're doing any type of like logistics work, packages are great, gives you a holistic view. It allows you to say what's there, what's not there. But ultimately, it's the AI features are really the new thing. The Automation Studio has been deprecated, so that will be going away, and that's the Workato integration. So that it's still there. There is a relationship, but they're not actively maintaining it. All right, so let's go through a capture demonstration. So the first thing is the DocStar client. Most of you that I work with on training don't always have the client install. The client's really important if you really want to have a lot of feature functionality. So the first thing is the client allows you to scan. So using a peripheral desktop scanner, you could scan directly into the cloud repository or DocStar in the cloud. This also includes things like your Microsoft Office integration, print driver, the ability to print into the solution, the ability to hit the browse button and select a bunch of documents, right? So these are things that you need. Now, if the client also allows for batch importing, where you can monitor your hot folder, and when you scan or monitor an email, and when you scan or to email or to a folder, we'll be able to go and grab that. And the remote control DocStar. This is an older approach. This is what we call push filing. We'll get into that in our 201 session around capture. You need to have a Windows PC. It can't be, a Mac or Linux machine. Most people are running Windows, and you will need network access as well. You will need admin rights to your PC. So if you're interested in doing this, you could reach out to our support, DocStar support at vitalecm.com. So these are the 6 different ways to capture. I guess with the new AI feature, that would be a 7th way of capturing. And, essentially most of the stuff is configured within the client itself. If you're using Capture to do desktop scanning, DocStar supports both ISIS and PixTwain. What that means is you need to have an ISIS driver for that scanner to primarily work with the software. We don't sell or service scanners any longer since PIF has that transition. We no longer sell or support. So we will be, all of this will be in a recording. So we'll be sending you the recording out. So I know if I'm moving fast, remember, you're going to get this PowerPoint. You're going to get all the backup documentations, lots to move through here. But when I consult with people, I commonly see, if you're scanning documents that have heavy shading in the background, I constantly see black and white, which you should be using. 300 DPI is ideal. OCR works best on black and white documents. They're also a lot less expensive to maintain. As you can imagine, a color document's 32-bit, black and white is 2-bit. You do have the ability to separate based on a change in a barcode, a cover sheet, or some of those types of things. But the new AI tool does have a classification module, which allows you to classify the document using AI versus some of these, legacy separation techniques. The auto size detection's great if you're scanning like receipts and legal and 8.5 by 11. That will auto size detect and crop appropriately. Um, Batch import. So we use this a lot. So if you're in our cloud, and you have a photocopier you want to scan locally, we need the client to exist somewhere in your network that has access to that hot folder location that the copier is scanning to. So this can basically monitor emails. You don't really want to put this on your email box, your personal email box, but on like a group box, contracts at, AP invoices at, whatever, and then you can suck all those documents into DocStar directly. Um, you also can you do this through a CSV or an XML. So many of you might be using Ancora or Kodak or some of these other IDP solutions, and the main mechanism to getting those documents and the associated data in is either XML or CSV. And then we map the fields, which is what you're seeing here on the right. So the client's really important for the batch capture, inclusive of you'll see on the client itself, there's a modules tab. This is where you install the print import, which is the print driver, and the Office integration. Both these things come with the core solution. There's no module add for that. And you'll see the document export system. So anybody looking to export out of the system can buy this module and allow to export specific content types, certain date ranges to export. So we still have intelligent capture. We still utilize, which is DocStar IDC, Epicor IDC. Yes, it works and it's a separate module, but it is a separate module, right? So with the new AI features, we could do a lot of this intelligent capture built into the core application. So let's go through some of these items here. And I'm just going to exit here and we'll go. So the first thing is from a capture perspective. Okay, so the client. So when you log in, if you go to the capture tab, a few things. One, you're going to notice this new feature here where you can literally just drag and drop right on the top. So we'll come here, grab this JPEG. I'll drag it on, and as you can see, it automatically adds it. So that's a nice little feature. You don't have to set up a batch import or anything. You just literally drag onto this area and it will add it in to the solution. You'll notice here at the top, this is blue and highlighted. That means I have a client installed. When I click on it, you'll notice the install. This is actually where you install the client application. Once you install it, you'll see it down here in the system tray. This is our client. Thinking about it as like a local application that brokers local peripherals, ODBC access to your data sources, authentication for single sign-on. All that's done through this little client application. You'll notice the login tab. So you log in, and then you have your configure service tab, which is this client actually will do work. You'll notice here the process keys, image, office, and workflow. It's using this client to actually render documents. So when we add a document, we render it in the document viewer control so you can edit it. It'll allow you to render Microsoft Office documents as well as execute different workflows. So the more clients you have, the better. Allows you to load balance. Now, batch import is right here. And this is where you can see you can look at a CSV file. So for instance, I'm going to monitor this path. And when we pick up that document, move it to this process folder, and then read the CSV file and map the check number in the CSV. So this from column are all the CSV columns, and to the right are all the DocStar fields. So we're basically just mapping and then what content type. So this is an example of a CSV export import and mapping the columns of that CSV on the left here to our DocStar. Okay, so that's one example. You could also do a directory. So here we're just saying I'm not reading any data. I'm simply looking at this test folder and I'm going to bring it into the contracts content type, and I'm going to run that. It runs every 15 seconds. So you can run it on a schedule. The key here is make sure that uh, this configure tab, if you're using batch imports, you have run schedule tasks. Very important. And then if you're using this for data links, just ensure these are checked here. All right, so that's the batch import. Then you have the modules. So if you have the modules, you see print import, an office integration, document exporter. So this is where you can also utilize these tools to go and print. And so if I did file print, you'll notice we have DocStar PDF. Of course, I'm just printing a logo. And when you print, and you can print from any Windows dialog, you see, oh, what is it? A contract, I'll say it's a correspondence. And I don't want any workflow, and then upload, and now that's in. So printing in, that's installing that print import driver. It's a Windows print driver. It allows you to basically print from any Windows print dialog. The Office integration, so if you're using any type of Office integration, you can open up a document, and you're going to notice there is and this works for Outlook too, but you're going to see this little tab here, Epicor ECM. And what we could do is just hit Save to Epicor, and yeah, I should know better than that. You can't use the Office integration with SharePoint or OneDrive. The documents can't need to be on your physical drive itself. So here I have my C drive demo folder, and then save, and there it's like, what is this? It's a contract. So let's say contract, and contract party is image access, and then they hit upload. And now that document's in the repository and fully searchable. Okay. All right. I did want to show the additionally the AI components. So you're going to notice first off is the data generate. So in this particular step, this is a capture mechanism. You're going to notice here on the left, you have data generate. Data generate is the LLM. So here, very simply, I'm just saying, extract the contract party, period, summarize the document. Okay, so where the period is, that's the first node. So whatever you put in, extract the contract party, that's going to go in this first output node. And this after the period, we only have a second node. We're going to put that into AI notes. Okay, so very simply, you're just giving it a prompt and assigning it to a field or a template. You do have don't consider document, where it actually doesn't consider the document itself, so the content of the document. So like you might want to say, get the current date, time, and add 30 days to it. So, I don't know, something to that effect. That would have no consideration on the document. All right, so when we bring that in, and I just uploaded this right before, so we didn't have but as you notice, the two things were the contract party. So here's an unstructured document, and it pulled out the contract party, which is Renault HVAC and controls, which it did correctly. And then I told it to summarize into this notes area. And as you can see, this document is a subcontract agreement made on March 17th, blah, 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 between these two people. So, so that's data generate. While it's not specific capture focused, it does have element of capture. The second piece is the focus data entry. So here, what we do is there's two elements. So you're going to see focus data capture is one of the elements. And then you'll see here all of the different predefined Azure AI document intelligence templates. So for instance, say you have a document type that doesn't conform here. You can use invoice or any of the different types, and then you'll notice at the bottom, you have the query capabilities. So right here in the, you have the ability to actually put in a query. What that means, you could see here is when Azure returns the JSON payload of all the extracted data, that particular field might not be returned on an invoice parser. And you can see all these fields, these black fields, are all specific to procurement. They're very specific to invoice number and payment address and customer address and service start date and end date and total, currency and all that. So you might say, hey, I want freight. I want, you see here these query fields. I want freight. I want, tax EIN number. So you just put a comma next to each, and each, you'll see, essentially, you can then map. In this case, you'll see freight here. You can then map that particular query to that freight. Now, if anybody's not familiar, this is AI. This is Azure AI Document Intelligence. It's somewhat deprecated. They've moving all of the document intelligence to content understanding, but this does have some capabilities. So you see here, these are all the pre-built models: invoices, receipts, identity documents, all business cards, credit cards. So all of these items you can essentially pick from the workflow. So you'll see here at the top in the workflow, you see each one of those: contract, credit card, health insurance, ID, insurance, layout, mortgage documents. And you can see all of the different. So you just pick the right one, and then you just put in the field that you wanted to extract. The second piece is the verification portion of it. So they needed to give you a way to verify low confidence. So you'll see here it's user verify focused data capture. So if we go in and just take a look, go to my workflow here, I go to this one, you'll see here that I ran one through and it extracted all the data. And this is ideal when you don't have structure, right? I said, go find the invoice number. Well, invoice is here. It doesn't say invoice number. Another invoice, the invoice number might be over on the left or bottom or top or wherever. So it doesn't care about templates. This is all AI generated, and then we can do some parsing if you have some unique situations. Like here, this works well when you have a key label pair. What do I mean by key label pair? It's a label that's next to the value. Here we have the word invoice or order number. Those are key values. The pair is the actual value to the right of it in this case. So that's how it works. It also works on line items. As you can see here, it was able to extract that line item. And the verify extraction step is this, where you just have to say, is this correct or not? If I hit verify, it shows low confidence. So it wasn't sure if the vendor name was right and if the freight was right. You'll notice at the top, it gives you kind of any issues. It wouldn't stop here unless there was an issue. And if I hit verify, it allows me to go and correct those things. And once I'm done, I hit submit and it will leave my queuing, move forward. Okay, so that is the new AI capture built into the core application. All right, so let's get into DocStar. So I will mention, obviously, if you want to go into more detail, you can contact me directly. And I can walk you through some of these things. All right, so let's go into a little bit of search and retrieval. So lots of new features in the, I think it was 24, 1 and above. So here, you do not need the DocStar client to search. You can search from any internet browser, but if you want to do like things like export to Outlook or things like that, you would need the client. So let's take a quick look. You do have the mobile app. I will say the new interface is somewhat more mobile sensitive. I'm sure my support team would be like, don't really want to use in the mobile app, but it does work on iOS. I'm getting some feedback that doesn't work great on Android all the time. We do have this, it's a deprecated, but it's still there. It's called Request Mobile Approval. So if you want to send approvals to external parties and not have to have them authenticate to DocStar, this is the tool for you. It will send an email with the attachment. and an approve deny capability where they can see the document and put comments and approve and deny. So that is there. This does not work with the mobile. And again, it's separate from the mobile app. This is ideal for third parties where you don't want DocStar authentication. All right, so let's create a new search. We'll filter it. We'll save the columns and sorting. You will note in the user preferences a lot of these things that you set up ahead of time will allow for better experience. So let's take a quick look at this. So the first thing we'll do here is searching. So you'll notice the new search used to have those 3 accordions and a retrieve tab at the top. You'll notice it's search and view now, and no retrieve tab. So the benefit is you could search, see what you're looking at, and then go back to the search results very quickly and easily. So I'll just do an AP example here. So we could click the add button. I'm going to call this all AP invoices. Okay. Now you're going to notice a few things. One, category. Where does category? Let me pop this open. So category is ideal because you'll notice in the navigation bar, you now have your favorite searches section, and you have these categories here, and you can see public searches and my searches. Public searches allow you could create a search that other people see. You could also share searches, whereas before any saved search was specific to your user desktop. So the first thing I'll note is in the top right hand corner, we'll go to user preferences. And you're going to see here in the search area a few things. One, I like to change the sorting to created on. So my most recent are at the top. By default, title is the one. You also notice here, quick search. By default, these are your most common. Auto wildcard means asterisk. So and this is specific to the quick search, that's that bar at the top. So if you want to look for Brent Wessler, I could just put in Brent, and it automatically puts an asterisk right after Brent as a wildcard. So it finds Brent Lee, Brent Wessler, Brent Wessler or any permutation of that. Okay. So once you've enabled that, we can come in and now hit add. We'll say all invoices. All invoices, we'll call this accounting. We'll put this in the accounting. Now, this is where include column preferences. So before, you were only able to add column preferences to save search, and then it would revert back. Here, you can include those column preferences. If I select public, it's going to add it to the public searches over here so other people can use it. You'll notice if I made a company default, if I'm an admin, I can do that, and that makes it available to everybody. Favorite adds it to the favorite section over here, and tile, it's kind of silly, but if you want to tile, you'll see what this looks like here. When I hit save, you'll notice now there's that tile, okay? Now what I'll do is I'll say, hey, I only want to look for AP invoices. These columns aren't what I want them to be, so I'm going to hit save on that. It's a little buggy here. So what I'm going to do now is go to the column chooser, and I'm going to add invoice number. Invoice number. I want invoice total, maybe vendor name. So these are the column choosers. Okay, so you could see all the column choosers there, and then I just hit save, and these documents are all. So now when I go all invoices to our contracts, notice how you see how the columns change, right? So and then you'll also notice over here, if I said I want it as a public search, all invoices, so I can run the search right from the public search area here. Okay, and then you could see specific content. Now it is, you'll notice the bar with all 3 sections open, it cuts off, so you have to scroll to right. So if you just minimize this section, you'll see that it's a lot easier to hook into. You also notice the limit is now down here. That used to be up at the top. And you'll also notice the actions menu is now 3 dots. So a little different from that perspective. Okay. Now, make sure you always clear because you might have some stuff already residually there. So this is where we can do other string-like searching. So like you'll notice I use quotes. So that's a string literal. That means I want to find disclosing party exactly that way. You could also, look for, Brent, not Wessler. So you're going to want to use not and or. Those are your three options, and or not. And here, find anywhere where you find Brent, but you don't find Wessler, right? And then you have Brent or Wessler. And this returns anytime you find Brent or the word Wessler. Okay, so you have all those different things, but note, whatever you put in here ends up in this text area here. Okay, when I clear here, it clears both values. Now you're also able to select a search and you can share. If I hit the share, it's going to now select. So you could create an individual search. You don't want to make it public, but you can share that search with another user, and then they'll be able to see that search in the dialog there. Okay. Last thing is related documents. Okay, so this is a really nice feature. Most of you are very manuated in your process. You add a document, you get another document that's associated with that document, and you want to add it into that document. You can do that, but really no need to. Metadata tagging is important. So if we come into this invoice, for instance, you'll see here we have vendor name, we have invoice number. I'll put in invoice number 12345, right? And you'll notice if I click on the content type builder, I can set related. So you see here, and this one's related on PO. So you just click this little icon on the field you want to relate by. Now, we could do that on vendor name. We could do it on PO number. Something unique. The issue with vendor name, might be ABC Space Company Corporation. It needs to match. Now, you can do some advanced custom Boolean logic here to make that work. But for our purpose, I'm going to cancel. Cancel, don't save. So what I'm going to do is just put in this PO number that I think I have already. If I hit save, you're going to notice this related documents section now fill in. So here's the packing list. Here's the purchase order associated with this invoice. And you could click on it. When you click on it, it launches another tab. And then you could see on the PO, the invoice, the packing list. And you'll notice you also have a column chooser here. So you can type in the field you're looking for, and you can see how you can add these different columns so you have a little more, a little more idea of what it is. Okay, so that's related docs, really easy to set up. You do have to have content type builder rights to be able to add the related document, but this is the best way to find all related documents. And then simply search for them, and then you can output. We'll get into output and how you can then merge that into a single file on output. All right, so let's move on. All right. So it looks like we do have some questions. I have a question regarding the integration of Azure AI. What is the rate of hallucination of content using? So, yeah, hallucination. I mean, everybody's hearing AI hallucination. You don't really understand what that is. First of all, the AI focused data capture is using a neural template, so it doesn't use an LLM. So it's trained on essentially what would be a small neural template designed for that particular type of document. So predecessor to LLMs were this, hey, you deal with invoices all day. Microsoft creates this kind of pre-canned OCR. So it uses much of it is using OCR to OCR the document and then look for key value pairs, right? LLMs don't do that. It really doesn't use OCR. It uses visual language models, and it is more around pictures than it is text, right? So it's a much different approach. So I would say, hallucinations are limited to none. We have probably 25 deployments or more of Microsoft Azure. AI document intelligence. But like I said, it's kind of being deprecated. Um, can you show how you save and upload a doc and make sure I'm doing this right? Okay. Yes. So, how do you save and upload a document? Well, that's not hard. So, to save and upload a document, the first thing you need to do is you go to the Capture tab and you have your scanning area. So, if you have a desktop scanner, you'd select it here, or you can simply select you know, where this banking document. Now, pre-process, you have to have the client. This will render the document, so it takes less time to do so, um, uh, and then you just literally upload a document. Now, by default, if you don't have auto view on, it's going to go to the workflow associated with that document. Okay. Um, so I have auto view on. Yeah, I know you, Stacy, raised your hand. Okay, so what once it's here and auto view's on, I hit upload. It's going to immediately show me the document and allow me to index it. Okay, so a few things. One, when I do that, auto view immediately pops. So most of you have this workflow accordion, and it's way down here. Okay, so by default, DocStar does you a huge disservice by putting a ton of crap you don't need. Okay. So I will say make sure workflow drag, you could drag the workflow accordion right to the top where it's now asking for these things. So you select what it is, the amounts, whatever. Now I will note you have the ability to do recognition. This is a lasso capability. You have to have the client, but if this little checkbox is enabled, you can literally just hover over and drag and drop and it populates. Client name is this, and you could see end date is, I don't know, this. This won't read probably well. All right, and submit. So as you can see, when you upload, yeah, I know it's a weird date. When you upload, it will prompt you for the workflow. And then you have to figure out the workflow. Now, if you capture and you don't have auto view enabled, it will go to your workflow. Okay. So you'll just look for your name here and you'll see the documents that are sitting there waiting for you. So if I go all, so you have all the workflows, and I say only give me the one for B. Wessler, I could see all those. And then these are the documents I need to work on. Okay. All right. So let's get back. We're going to get into edit and output, which is actually a good transition here. So let's talk about what you could do with the documents. Okay, so you do have Adobe style document manipulation, the ability to add pages, remove pages, split pages, things like that. You do have full annotations. Annotations are onion skin layers. They never modify the document in any way. When DocStar brings in a document, it stores the original document format. So is it a Word document, a CAD drawing, or whatever it is? It creates high-res PDF thumbnails, and it creates PNGs, individual PNG files for each. So it does make the storage a little bit bigger, but this way you can always maintain the original storage of that document and never mess with it. All right, so let me take you through a few of these editing capabilities. And then the output capabilities are primarily Outlook right now or SMTP. If you have the Microsoft Office integration, you saw that in the client on the modules tab. If you have that enabled on your PC and you have Outlook installed, then when you go to email the document, it's going to show Outlook as an option. If you don't see Outlook there, that means you either don't have Outlook installed nor the Epicor DocStar Office integration is not installed as well. So we'll show you where that is. The print, again, if you the print will suck. Printing sucks without the client. So if you go to try to print, and you try to print 3 documents at once, you're going to it'll spawn like 3 different forms. You got to manually print each. So make sure you have the client enabled there for that. You do have save a copy. That is our export. Where you see export there, that's not exporting the document. We'll go into that. Export data is really, it's a link to the document with the metadata. So it's more like a briefcase thing. So where you see export, probably not the best naming. All right. So, and then we have native view versus native view's nice if you're working with PDFs because you have all the typical keyboard and mouse features, and we'll show that as part of this solution. So let's get in. We'll show edit options from the results grid and then from the document viewer and then output options. Okay. All right. So the first thing is let's go to a search. We'll run a search AP and let's grab some documents here. Now from here, you'll notice a few things. One, I can add some columns. So maybe I want the vendor name, something like that. Okay. And so first thing here is pencil icon. So you notice a little pencil icon. This is our global replace. So you got to select all the items you want. And then this is ideal if you want a global replace. So you can see here, let's just say this is great for HR, like Betty Jones is now Betty Smith. So you want to come in and change that. Here, I want to take, everything that's in the vendor name column. I want to make it all Acme Company. You can do that. So the pencil icon is designed for a global replace. Instead of having to go into every single document and change the value, you could just do a global replace. All right, you can edit here. So if you double click in any of the editable fields, you'll notice the system fields can't be edited. You can literally just click in here and start typing, and it will allow you to essentially, change the values and whatever you need. So that's the edit here capability. Now, in terms of output, again, your options, you'll see everything's under share now. So you have share email. So in this case, I only selected one. But you'll notice if I select multiple here, this is where you can do that, right? So I can come in, I could say share email, and I want to email all three of these documents at once. Now, a few things. One, you'll notice this direct link. It's grayed out. I can't click on it. I have to select an existing DocStar user to be able to use this link here. Okay. Now with the new features, this is external link. So this is for external users. So while this direct link requires you to be a Epicor DocStar authenticated user, this doesn't. So if you want to encrypt on transmission, put a password and an expiration, you could send a Dropbox like link to a document or a set of documents. You notice I said open in Outlook, and you can see here, open in Outlook or send. Open in Outlook will now open this in Outlook. So you'll see here, it added my URL where I can click to download and it's ready. And I have my address book. It'll show up in my sent items. If I use SMTP, which is the send feature here, that goes out through your company's SMTP relay. What that means is it won't show up in your outbox. It won't show in your sent items. Okay. It's sent out from the server. All right. So some other things you could do. You have save a copy. So this is a great example of related documents. So now query the PO number, brings back your packing list, your invoice, your check, your a PO. And then what you could do is simply hit the PDF and create a single file. What that's going to do is merge these three documents I selected into a single PDF file on export only. So it maintains the three documents, but converges them into one to allow for a better experience. You're also able to merge. This is not on output. This would merge all three of those documents into one. The source document is always the document at the top. So if I merge these, the Acme Company invoice would be the entity. Any of the metadata will be added from the old other documents into the new document. So if you do have vendor name ABC and XYZ, you'll end up with two vendor names in that merged document. Okay. You do have full records management. So by default, if you want to set up records management, that is in the admin tab here. You can come in and your record categories, and basically it's very simple. Simple. You pick a date field and how many months you want to go off of that and whether you want to delete or move to a disposition folder. Once you create this category, all you need to do is add that to the content type builder. You'll notice here in record category, I just add the record category I want. And now moving forward, all those documents will be either deleted or moved to a disposition folder on that date. So this is a great way of auto deleting documents and things like that. Okay, version control. All right, so we went through the results grid here, what I search results. Now, when you double click and you open the doc viewer, which you're in now you can't take action on multiple documents. You can only take action on this one document. So you'll notice the ability to come in here and you have those same features. So you have email, save a copy, we just went over. Copy link is a new feature where you can copy a link to the document. You obviously have print. Okay. Now print, just, if you don't, you got to have the client, but once you go to the client and you go to settings here, you'll notice use client service when available for email, print, and save a copy, especially print, right? So if you want to print 10 documents, make sure that you have the client installed and it'll print like a normal printer would, where it just prints everything at once. So that's important. All right, version control. So let's go find a document here. We'll take this one and we want to make a change. So you do have version control here. So I can check out the document. And when I check out the document, you'll see Word down here is now blinking. Let's say, this is VRC companies, change this. Say this is 27. And then at the top, you're going to notice this check-in area. So I hit check-in, and you'll see it says complete. Now, I could have said, hey, check that in as a draft. So you have this concept of versions and then publish or not. And so here, if we go in, you'll notice if I unclick on, you see version 2 is the most current published version. You see here, it's blank, this Word document, it's being rendered. That's what that DocStar client does. So it's actually taking the Word document and converting into PNGs. So then I could go in and annotate the document. I can manipulate the document however I want. You could always see the original if you have rights to. You could delete the versions. You'll notice you can also unpublish versions here. You could also promote an older version to a newer version. So lots of capabilities that you have there. You also are able to augment the document. So you have import. Import allows you to basically browse out, grab, a document, and I want to append it to this document. You could also do that through a scan. So you have scan here. That does the same thing. Just going to drive your local desktop scanner. And then you also have all your manipulation capabilities. So burst content. And now because this is the most current published version. Let's grab this here. Okay, so now I can come over and I can right click and I can use my shift or control key. You'll notice how you select these two pages. I can come in and say move this to a new document. So move pages 2 and 3 to a bank document and then name it, and then it will rip these out of this document into its own document. You also have, if I burst the content item, I can also, I have two, this is a draft version. So I could drag, drop, reorder. So you could just drag the page. So I want page 3 to be page 1. I just drag, drop, reorder. And even though this is a Word document, I can still annotate it. So I could still put things like annotations here. Okay. And then when you output, those annotations, whether it's email, save a copy, you're going to notice here, do I include annotations or not? Native is always output the native format. So it's a Word document, output a Word document. Notice how none of these are available because you actually have to make it into an image, and then you can include those annotations as well. How do you delete an invoice that is not to be paid. Your workflow might be specific um, to something, but if you want to delete, you just go down here and you hit the delete key. The other option, if you don't want to do that, when you're in a workflow, you'll notice here, this is the new bar at the top, but if you just go to workflow and you just do remove from workflow, it removes it from the workflow. So, it's non-actionable if you wanted to do it that way. Um, the other nice thing is View Native. So View Native allows you to put it in like if it's a PDF. So now you have all sorts of PDF functionality in terms of scrolling and manipulating pages and all that. So View Native is helpful when you're in PDFs. And if you have, capability you want to search within the document and things like that, you can use that. Most often, if View images are AccuSoft viewer control. So this is where you could come in and reorder and delete pages. In View Native, you can't use any of these features. So, all right. So that should be it. We're about 9 minutes left. Any questions? I certainly could throw them in the chat window. I will say, just go up to my page here. So cards/B Wessler. That has all my contact information, how to connect with me, email me, whatever. But we'd be more than happy to get on and talk about your specific use case, how we might be able to optimize some of the things that you saw today. Otherwise, if you have a new employee or you're like, hey, I want to set up a new content type, I'm happy to help. Yeah, if you don't have the three dots, it will say actions. This is, if you have the retrieve tab up here, you're on an older version. As part of your annual support, if you are on premise with DocStar, DocStar support, I'm just going to put that right, Hannah can put that right in our chat window, DocStar support at vitalecm.com. Reach out to them. They'll apply the upgrade. Just know if you're on Windows 19, Server 19 or older, 2012, 2016, you really can't upgrade. So I'd suggest you move into our cloud. You can contact me on those types of things. We can move you to the cloud at a very reasonable price as well. But yeah, I would look at upgrading if you're not seeing those three dots. This should say actions. That's how it used to be called. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? No. All right. Well, wonderful. I appreciate everybody's time today. This will be recorded. We'll send out the recording along with our handouts. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I can help you moving forward. Thanks for attending and have a great rest of your week.